And welcome to live stream number 31. Today is Thursday. It is the 20th of July, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. If you're watching this, you're watching the recording. Got a couple of people probably trickling in here in a few seconds. As always, if you want to see anything specific on these live streams, just scroll down to the description area down there. You will find my email address, lars.christensen@autodesk.com, and you're definitely more than welcome to send me an email if there's anything you would like to see kind of like playing around with in regards to Fusion 360 here doing these live stream. Really appreciate you taking the time. And also do me a favor, if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up. If you don't, hey, be honest, hit the thumbs down. Definitely appreciate you taking the time to do that. See, we already got a bunch of people in here. We got Dylan. We got Isaac again. People just coming in here. Jacob, it's awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to join. Today, we are going to look at Chris's example. So let me show you that. What is this piece of? Well, I'm assuming it's some kind of a housing. Thinking like maybe plastic housing or something like that. And Chris sent me this one to me, asking that he wanted to create a core out of this for a plastic vacuum mold. And how would you go about doing that inside of Fusion 360? So this is actually, if you click on the body folder here, you will see this just comes in as a body. There's no history. And honestly, I don't know where this part originates from. If it was imported from wherever, So this can happen, right? That you get a model from a customer, and now you got to figure out how you can kind of like use this model to, for example, creating a core and a cavity. So recently, I did on the YouTube channel, I did the plastic injection mold. If you haven't checked that out, you go and check that one out. And also, if you do go and check that one out, down in the description area of those videos, you will actually find that whole data set for that plastic injection mold. So you can download it yourself, you can open it up, you can look at it inside of Fusion. Now, one of the things I got from a few people after they saw that video was that they said, well, those parts were too simple. They wanted more complicated shapes, and that's maybe where we're getting closer with this part that Chris provided here today, that we're gonna kind of like try to create that core out of. I can see that we got 30 people in here. It's awesome. Luke, Spike is in here. Appreciate it, Ken. Absolutely appreciate you guys jumping in here from all over the world. So let's jump in and actually take a look at this model here. So I wanted to do everything live here today from scratch till we get to the point of creating this core, because I think that's kind of like the point of these live streams, right? Like, it's not a cooking show where you're pulling out half models. So you're gonna see me do some clicking to go through this model. Now, on top of that, a few people have asked me recently about the different workspace inside of Fusion 360. A little bit of confusion about what is the right workspace to work within. And my comment is, there is no rules. There's different workspaces that does different things. Now, this model here, I think most people are probably comfortable working in the modeling environment. But this model here, you could probably achieve what we're going to do today in the Path Workspace. You could possibly do the same thing in the Sculpt Workspace. There's some neat tools in there too. So don't think that there's always a right way to do things inside of a CAD program. There's different ways you can attack different problems. So let's get going here. I see we got 38 people. That is awesome. So what we're going to be working in here is we're going to be working in the Patch Workspace. At least that's what I'm going to choose to do for this. And I probably got to just say a couple of things. Like, first of all, I will not consider myself being a surface expert. So let me just put that out there. So if any of you guys have anything to add in the chat or in the description area of the recorded video, definitely please do. But I also know that some people who's watching this might get a little confusing if you are not really working much in this workspace. But hopefully, by just sitting through, drink a cup of coffee, or if it's after 5 o'clock, a beer, and just kind of like see it, and maybe you grasp a couple of things of that. So, first of all, we are looking to work inside of this surface workspace here with this model. And what is important to remember is many times when people start talking about surfaces, they think of very complex shapes. And that is true, but when it comes down to it, surfaces are just non-thick walls that when they are watertight becomes solids. And you're going to see that in the end of when I'm stop talking here and actually get into modeling, that's really what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to kind of like break the solid model down into surfaces, get these things we want in here, and then build it back into a solid again. We're gonna use the stitch command to bring it back into a solid. Now, when you're looking at a model like this, so we're trying to create a core that kind of like creates the undershape here. It's very easy to kind of like feel a little overwhelmed looking at this and thinking, oh my goodness, where should I start? Again, we got the Path Workspace, we got the sculpting, and when I go into looking at the different tools inside of the surfaces in here, what should I do? Here is what I normally like to do. And I like to copy whatever surface side I want to work with, and then hide the body and just work with that copy of the surface that I really need. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, one thing I am going to do though, you will see right now that I don't have a history tree down here. Remember that you can choose inside of Fusion when you bring in an imported model if you want to work in this direct editing mode, versus if you start up a new design, you will see I got the history tree down here. When it comes to complex shape and surfaces, you might find, I have found, personally, I don't know, I haven't talked to any developers of this, but I have found that when it comes to working with surfaces, that the direct editing space is actually seems to work a little faster, and that's maybe because when you are if I right click up here, capture design history tree, that has to do more solving. I'm guessing. I'm not 100% sure about that. But for this design here, I am going to start in the direct working space, just to show you that you can switch from one to the other. But when I started out doing this originally, I would go up here and turn on the capture design history. But just to show you how it looks when you don't, I'm going to start out by not doing that. I hope I didn't confuse anybody with that. That's it. I'm gonna start modeling here. So, like I said, the first thing I normally do is, because I gotta break it down for myself so I don't get all confused, is I will work with the side of the model that matters. And in this case, because this is a core, I'm gonna work with the underside. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna copy it. Well, actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna offset it, but I'm not going to put any offset value in. Then it becomes a copy. So I'm going to go in here and select the under face here. And I'm going to select Fusion kind of like breaks it down into different sections here, kind of like face ID. So I'm just going to go in and select the different faces here. And you might see that Fusion kind of like starts to act a little slow as I'm just clicking in here right now. You will understand why in a second when I've selected these different faces here. I'll select that one. It's holding a little bit. Patience. That one. Okay, let me just spin it around here. See what other surfaces I need. I need that surface there. right there. All right, so I've selected all the inside surfaces are selected here, and I'm gonna hit OK on the button here. And Fusion just take a second to calculate. And here you can see why it maybe slowed down a little bit, because it actually ended up being 172 surfaces right in here. Now what this now is, if I, so right now you can see, you can't really see anything, but if I turn the body off, what I have is a shell, because I didn't put an offset value in, this is a copy of the inside of the body. If I turn the body back on again, like if you look here, you can see the body has some thickness, and I turn this off, and now I just have like a shell. Think of a surface, it's a non-thick surface. I think of it as like almost like a blanket type. So there's no thickness to this, but it's kind of like, just if I put like blanket inside of it, saran wrap or something smooth in there. That's really what we are looking at here. And that's what I normally kind of like start out with and then work with that from here. Now I'm doing this in direct mode, so we don't get features down here, right? We're getting it in here. I'm gonna switch over to the design history in a moment. Now with this here, the first task I want to do is I want to go in and close up all the openings that you see here. That's going to be the first task. And then after that, I'm going to kind of develop some geometry here. So for that, I'm going to use this patch. Patch is pretty cool. I'm going to click on it. And what I can do, if I zoom in here a little bit and I select an edge, is that it closes up that surface. Now there's a couple of different options you need to be aware of in here. There's 3 of them. There is connected, there's tangent, and there's curvature. Now this actually equals to what some people call G0, G1, and G2. So what that, and I'm not gonna claim that I am the biggest surfacing specialist, but connected is just literally like flat. Like it just creates a surface that kind of like follows the edges. Tangent G1 means that is actually creating a tangency between what is behind it here, and then curvature will actually look at the surrounding surface and create a continuously surface around that. I'm gonna have an example a little bit later where I'm gonna show you that. I'm gonna hit OK to close that. So I just closed this one up here with that curvature continuously. Now I'm gonna have to repeat this on every single hole. So I'm gonna right click, hit repeat patch. I'm gonna select this edge. It will remember curvature, hit OK. And I now have to do that on every single opening you see here. Right click, hit OK. And this is maybe where you're thinking to yourself, why am I watching somebody doing this live? Because there's a few of these. Of course, if you are watching the recording, you could, fast forward. You can speed it up, just get through this. Right click, repeat patch, select the edge of this thing here. Right click, hit OK. But if you're watching the live stream, then I don't know. Is there anybody in the live stream who has a good joke they want to share? No, but again, I'm sorry that you have to see me do this. But this is really where I felt like that, since this is a live stream, if I had done all this, it's a little bit like when on a cooking show that they're pulling, the lasagna out of the oven already pre-cooked. And I just thought, you know what, there's not that many. Repeat patch. Okay. And it could be that there's also one of the Fusion developers who's looking right now and say, hey, there's a better way to do this. But that was what I picked to do. I feel like I gotta fill the silence with something. This is about the point where you're thinking, how many was there really that needed to be done? And then you realize it's just a few more. Okay. Oops, I don't want to select that. Edge. Right click. There we go. Hit OK. Right click, repeat patch. Select edge. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, like, I guess what I'm trying to show here is that, this is kind of like how life is when you're working with some of these surfaces. It's not always like one magic button. And there was one more up on the top here. Okay. There we go. So we filled all these holes in with this continuous curvature. So now all those are in there. And you will see now over my tree here that I actually have accomplished quite a few surface bodies in here. And you can see here's all my different patches. Now, what I like to do when I've done an operation like this is you can stitch together your surfaces so it just becomes one. So I'm just going to select the top one, hold down my shift key, select the bottom surface down here, and then I'm just going to go in and say that I want to stitch everything together in here. Hit OK. And you will see that now all those got added up into 194 surface bodies in here. So what we've done right now is we've made the shell, inside shell. We have patched up all the holes. And now I just wanted to show you how the direct editing thing is sitting. The problem with the direct editing is that I can delete them, but I can't go in and edit them or select geometry. Like if I right click here, I can delete it, but I can't go in and modify my settings and things like that. Now, I just wanted to show you, first of all, that it seems like the Fusion works a little bit faster when you are in the direct editing mode. And many times if you're doing this, you maybe don't need the history, right? Like you don't even want all the different steps in a history line. So this will work okay. Now at this point, to switch over to the standard parametric modeling, you just go up on your top part here and you right click and you say capture design history, and then it will switch over to the normal one. But you will see we just lost everything, all the steps we did inside of direct editing, all the patches. Well, it's actually fine because we can't really do anything with them anyways. But that's important to know that switching between the two, you're losing kind of that link there. All right. I hope this is helpful. 51 people in here. It's awesome. Looks good. All right, so we're gonna continue in here, and while I'm doing is I'm trying to also do it a little bit like as a lesson. So I'm not just trying to do everything necessarily the best way, but I wanted to show you some of the different tools there is in here. The next thing I want to do is I want to create some sketch geometry that I can use for creating a loft. And one thing I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of is that these commands, if you're looking in here, extrude, revolve, sweep, and loft, you've seen these before, right? Because these type of commands are the same one we're having over in the model environment, and they work pretty much the same way. The only difference is that these will actually behind the scenes stitch together and create a solid. I talked about this in one earlier live stream. I can't remember what number it is. Back into patch. All right, next thing I want to show you in here is there is actually 3D sketching inside of Fusion 2. So if I go in and I select a line, and I'm just going to select out here in space, I actually can sketch in 3D sketches. You have to make sure you have 3D sketch checked over here. So if I go over here right now and I select this edge and I move down and I select this edge right here, I have now created a line. I'll show you in a second that is following this edge. I'm kind of like creating some geometry here. And you can also do arcs in here. If I do, I don't know if you knew this in sketching, but even though I'm in a line command, if you move back to the beginning of the line, hold down your left mouse button, and you can actually go into a tangent arc, and I can actually drag an arc down that follows that edge right there. So I'm going to move down, find the next line, and then there's one more arc down here. So I'm going to go back to the center point, hold down my left mouse button, and if I drag along here, you will see that I create that arc. Right click, hit OK. Now I'm actually also going to connect one up here, but I found that this following an arc command with a line don't work, at least with 3D sketches, don't work too well if you're starting with it. It seems like it likes to have a line. That's just a quick, observation here. I don't know. So I click line. So here's the line. I'm going to move back to the center point and just drag along the edge. You got to be a little sensitive when you do that. And there you go. I created that line right there. So I can show you, if I just stop the sketch, if I hide everything and we go on the front, well, let me turn this. Here you can see kind of like the shape. So that has a little bit of an angle to it. You should be able to see that there. And then if I go over to the side view, you can see that was what we just sketched there. I hope that that kind of like makes sense. Well, I'm going to do it again anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and create another sketch here. And I'm going to do like I did before. I'm going to select right up here and start by moving down to when that ends. And then go back to right to that beginning of the arc. Hold down my left mouse button, and then I can just drag it along the edge until I see a rectangle. I can go down to the next arc. I'm moving around here because it's a little, when you're working in 3D space, it can be a little challenging. I hope this is not too boring to watch. Okay, that one, and then I'm going to go up and create the last portion over here. So click once for a line, go back to the center and just hold down and just drag. Ooh. See how it didn't follow? See, now I'm getting a line. I don't know if you can see that. Delete that. I think sometimes you have to be like, maybe play around a little bit with the angle here of that curve for Fusion to follow it. Yeah, well, this is the price I get for being live, right, guys? Go back to here. Oh, now I can't do it. Well, I think it's maybe because I, by accident, move up that axis. Move it over a little bit. Try again. See, I think it's because I'm going sweeping up the line. All right. I am not a quitter, but I also know when I've been beaten. I can't do that. Well, it actually looks like it sees a line right there. Spin around a little bit. Yeah, I can't get it to do it now. That is typical, isn't it? Let me try from the other end. That was what I found earlier, that when I tried, it's not doing it. All right, I'm just gonna try something here. I'm gonna get out of this sketch. I'm just gonna see, because it looks like it almost projected it over there. So let me just see if it's gonna do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the loft command. And if I place, can I select that edge? Well, it looks like it will build it up, so I'm gonna do that here. But not as a continuity line. Let me just hide that body. So it shows it up as a projector, so let's try it. not a sweep, a loft. And if you select chain, let's see if we can select the chain. So you don't want to select the last piece here as a chain. I'll select this whole thing, but not this thing. So I did it over here for some reason. But maybe I can do it like this. Okay. See if the last one will do it. No, I don't want to do that one. Delete that. Turn the body back on. Right click. Edit sketch. I want to try one more time. All right, I was holding my breath that time. Maybe that was it. Turn chain selection on. Now I select that chain. So there you go, folks. Okay. We get, you just can't, you just got to keep on fighting, I guess. So there is this surface coming up there. I think like that projected, maybe that kind of like screwed everything up. So we have created this this here. Now I do realize as I was looking at this afterwards that this should probably not have been a straight line. There should probably have been some kind of a guideline following this and this surface, but I'm not going to do that here. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close the lid up here, and I'm going to use patch again. This is where you can kind of like see this curvature. So I'm going to go up here and select, I don't want the chain on. Select these pieces here. Go over to this edge and this edge. And then you will see that the patch comes on here. Now, like I said, I realized afterwards that there should probably been some kind of a guideline pulling this line up so it follows over here. But you can kind of see that if I change this to G0, that there's a little bit of a different light because it becomes flat. And then when I turn the curvature on, if you look right here on the space here, 3, 2, 1, you should be able to see a little bit of a different light. Well, okay. So we have created now this here, and I got 2 more different sections here. And again, I like to stitch them together just like that, and then that will become one surface body right there. So we kind of like, if I turn the body back on that we started with, we have kind of taken that inside and we kind of like filled up this area, and we filled in any openings here. So we're getting closer. Now the next thing that Chris was telling me he wants is he wants the core to kind of like go straight down about 15 millimeters from this origin here. And I know we're coming up on the half now. I'm gonna be 10 minutes longer at least. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an offset plane from here, and I'm going to go down minus 15 millimeters. Minus, I said. And that's going to create a plane right down here. So what we want is these edges to kind of like come down to that portion. And what I'm going to do there is I'm actually just going to project all the edges down. So I'm going to right click on that face as I start a new sketch. And by the way, notice how we now we're capturing everything down here, right? And I'm just going to flip it around, make sure that I'm looking at the bottom. And I know that a lot of people have talked to me about they want me to do something on the project command, and we can definitely do something about that. I'm going to hit P for project. I think the biggest lesson that I have from project command is to make sure that you look straight on the edges that you want. So now I'm just going to go around and select every single edge here around the model. So again, if you're watching the recording, you might want to hit the 2x speed or something. If you are in the live stream right now, what I really appreciate, then go ahead and somebody start cracking jokes or something. So I'm just gonna walk around here and select all the edges that I'm gonna project down. Like this here. And zoom in. Make the habit of zooming in so you make sure you select the right thing. Sometimes when you're selecting things in CAD, it's a little bit like being a surgeon. Make sure you get the right area. You're getting there. Let's see this arc. And we're almost there, folks. I think there's one more line segment right there. Okay, let me hit OK. And now you will see that I projected that entire edge down on that plane there. Now, when I did this, originally what I thought I wanted to do was to go in here, and you could actually extrude now these surfaces up past here. You can see that these, of course, are straight down now. And then you could trim them. But be aware of that trimming, and I'm going to show you trimming in a second, but be aware of the trimming. You know, the software really has to solve, everything has to be accurate. And since we're projecting down, you know, these software works down to 12 decimals. And if there's one of them that is off, you actually can be struggling. So it's better to, instead of trimming geometry to one another, it's probably sometimes better to actually develop the geometry to do that. So to do that, I'm going to go in and use the loft command again. So you've already seen it in here. Now I am able to change the entire underside of the model, but I'm sadly not able to do that to the bottom. So I'm going to have to do this individually too. This is going to be the last time I'm going to be doing some repetitive work here. So, and did you see how the sketch went away? Right? You know how when you're drawing something and it gets consumed in here? Don't forget that they added a setting for that. If you go up to Preferences, you go into Design, you can uncheck Auto Hide Sketch on Feature Creation. Then it will actually stay visible when you create commands. So I'm just going to right-click, repeat loft, do here to here, right-click and hit OK. And I'm now going to do that on each single item. Like I said, this is going to be the last time I'm going to be doing something this boring, but I wanted to show it because if I didn't do this, then you wouldn't have seen me maybe struggling. Haha. But it's always fun to see somebody else scratching their head. So let's just go in here and click there. Okay. Repeat loft. Hit OK. Like that there. Right click OK. You know, this is definitely a good project to grab on like a Friday afternoon when you can kick back with a beer. This is not good if you're rushing on a Monday morning. Like I said, I am not 100% sure if there might be a better way to do this than what I'm doing right now. But this works. Like that. Okay. Like this here. Are we almost there? We're almost there. If you wonder about the color, why some of the surfaces are light and some of them are gray, it actually has to do with that a surface has two different sizes to it. So there's like a front and a back, and that is what that is showing. Honestly, I have never had a scenario where I needed front to back. And I know also that they just added a function in there where you can actually turn that off, so you don't see the front to back. If somebody knows when you would use front to back kind of thing, then in the live stream, go ahead, or in the comment area below. Hey, I'd love to know why. Let's see here. I've got just. Well, when I said there was a few left, it's a little bit like when the kid is asking how far is there to grandma and grandpa's, and you're like, oh, it's just around the corner. Okay. This is almost work. I should have like an alarm clock or something like that, so I can wake people up who's in the live stream, if there's anyone left. Last one. Okay, folks, we made it all the way around. All right, so now you can see that I created that, and of course, again, I'm ending up with all these different bodies that was just created. And again, I'm just going to do what I did before. Hold down the shift command, select the top and the bottom, then you can select them all between, and I can now stitch them together here. Now we are just about there. Now we've got 240 surfaces here. Now we're just about there. What we're gonna do the last is we gotta put the bottom in here. And again, there's different ways you can do that. I'm gonna go ahead and open up another sketch on that 15 millimeter offset surface. And just to show you the trim command, I'm just going to go ahead here and sketch a 2-point rectangle. I'm just going to make it bigger than the envelope here. So we got that, and then I'm going to patch that. Right? So now we kind of like have that piece of paper there sitting flush with our other one. And then we can go in and do a trim. And the way the trim works is it shows a trim tool. And is, what do you want to trim with? And I want to trim with this body down here. This is also why it makes it easier to have it all stitched together as one. This body is going to be the trim tool. And then depending on with that body, if I'm on the inside or the outside, whatever I select is going to be what is going to be removed. So I'm going to select this outside edge here. It turns red. I'm going to hit OK. And then you will see that now that is being closed. Now this is, look at all these lots we did. Now this is still a surface body, right? If I go in here and I do a section analysis of this thing, you will see that it is still just a shell right here. But here's the thing though, that when we now select these two, when we now go up and stitch it together, Fusion X is going to look at this and see if it is watertight, and if it is watertight, it will turn it into a solid body. And it does that here. Now, if this did not turn into a body, that meant our model was not watertight, but means that there would be some section of this that was still, there was a crack in it or something like that. So if I turn on the original body here, let me go in and change the appearance of this. Let's do a metal. No, let's not do metal. Let's do paint. And let's go in and get a glossy blue so you can kind of see it. So here is the body that we created that fits underneath that part. And then if I turn the original body on, you can see that there is the plastic part there. So I hope that you guys got something out of this little live stream that turned into become a 40-minute live stream, what is definitely the record here. But maybe a new experience for some of you guys to see the Path Workspace and how you can kind of like work with these solids. And this is really how that, you know, if you're getting into complex shape, if we were going to model up this plastic part from the beginning, if we didn't have the plastic part, I would probably have used the sculpt area, because that's where the sculpt area is really good at kind of like starting from scratch with some kind of an organic shape. But when we're bringing in this plastic part here and want to create the core, then using the patch, where you kind of like, again, like I used the offset to copy. So if you don't put any value inside the offset, it actually is just a copy command. Then that is how I would go about and do this. So let me just check inside of the live stream here. We got 56 people in here. That is absolutely awesome. I can see that there's people who are still awake here. that is good. I can see there's a lot of great comments in here. I'm definitely going to check those in a second. 59 people we're up to in the live stream here. I hope that this little intro into some of the patch tools and how you could work with them, how I kind of like created this core for this. And again, if you were working with like plastic injection molding, I think you now will see that, you know, this could kind of like also work when you got to go in and create the cavity, and also how you could go in and create, you know, the plate that would follow the bottom edges around here by using this. So if you just joined, this is being recorded, will be up on YouTube in, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. If you came in a little late, and then you will see me struggling with 3D sketches. Well, it's always good to. And if you watch the whole thing, definitely appreciate you do that. Again, really appreciate Chris for sending me this model. I hope that this was useful. If it was, don't do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. If it really sucked, well, hey, hit the thumbs down, be honest. And if you just came across this live stream, hit the subscribe button and you will get an email on that. I'm going to do as I normally do. I am going to end the broadcast. If you're watching the recording, thank you, and jump into the chat and kind of like say hi to everybody. Oh, and before I forget, there will not be any live stream tomorrow, Friday. I have some other work that I got to get done, but I'm planning on being back on Monday for live stream number 32. Thank you so much, everybody. For everybody who's watching the recording, really appreciate it. And for you guys who are in the live stream, in the chat, I'll see you in just a second. Thank you so much.